Hi guys, so today I want to talk further about the levels of consciousness that I explained in my last video, and I specifically want to talk about the processing of lectures, of information. And when I say lectures, I mean that everything that happens to us is some kind of learning process for our subconsciousness, some kind of process by which external influences are trying to shape us, to alchemize us, to become our most purest expression. And the fact that we do not live in a vacuum, that external influences do change and shape us, is something that anybody would agree on. It's a fact, right? So no matter if it's biology, chemistry, mathematics, physics, or astrology, we all agree on the fact that one object can influence another object. The only thing that these different kind of approaches disagree upon is to which extent we are influenced, right? So probably most of the dogmatic or normal sciences, normally accepted sciences, will say that we can only be influenced by things on Earth, right? But we cannot be influenced by anything further than that. And astrology says, no, we are influenced by everything, not just by objects and influences from this Earth, but also from influences from our entire solar system. So just like we can function from different levels of consciousness, we can also process information on different levels of consciousness. And now the clue is that even if you are able to function on consciousness level 3, it does not mean that you are able to process all of external influences on the same level. You could still be processing on level 1, on the physical level. Why? This is because parts of us are always somehow subconscious. So those things that you cannot consciously process, which means on kind of level 3, on the spiritual level, you push into the physical level and you process it there through sickness and through disease of the body. But let me start at the beginning. So when an influence comes in, it is always first on the spiritual level, which means on a very ethereal level. It didn't manifest as an event in our life. People who meditate a lot and who really spend a lot of time on tuning into those ethereal worlds, they can already grasp the lesson on the spiritual level, right? They can maybe in their meditation, they get a hint of what it is that is coming for them in the next period, what their next lesson is. So they can already adjust their behavior because they got this message, on a spiritual level. Now, if we don't spend much time investigating our subconsciousness and the spiritual levels, then the next level that the lesson comes down to, or the influence comes down to, is the emotional level. That means that the lesson will appear as an event in your world, like something in the outside world will happen that will be an emotional trigger for you. So an emotion arises and you need to deal with it. And the last level is the physical level. So if this emotional trigger happens to us and we are still not strong enough to deal with this emotion that comes up, but we suppress it and we're like, no, I don't want to look at that, then the lesson goes down on the physical level, which means we are not consciously aware anymore that there is a lesson, that there is a process at all. We just think everything is normal, but our body has to do the processing, has to transform this energy. What then happens is that the body gets sick, right? When we suppress a lesson too much or too often onto the physical level, then we can manifest chronic diseases because our body obviously wears off by processing lessons. So it is really advised to catch the lesson on a spiritual or emotional level before it comes down to the physical. So this might sound very theoretical. I'm going to give you an example to kind of illustrate what this means. Let's say the lesson for the next period of time for you is to ground yourself. Let's say maybe you have a Saturn transit. So maybe you can catch it on a spiritual level. You feel that this is coming up for you, that spirit wants you to go through this lesson of grounding yourself, of becoming more stable, of staying with things instead of escaping, both emotionally and spatially, of establishing more of a stable base foundation materially. And you can, if you catch this lesson on a spiritual level, you can voluntarily start adjusting your life in order to achieve all of those things. If you don't catch it on a spiritual level, then it will come down to the emotional level. And then it will start to manifest as certain events in your external field that somehow disturb you. Like you might suddenly start to face a lot of people who challenge your views and are very realistic and kind of cut you down every time that you are kind of very childlike or inspired or optimistic about something. They might, cut you down and be like, no, be more realistic. You're not, really present, whatever. It can manifest as a lot of bureaucratic pressure, unexpected bills, or, being caught for driving without a ticket and having to pay. Like suddenly that could be like a lot of expenses trying to push you down. What else could happen? Maybe plans you make to escape, like you want to go traveling all winter instead of staying and sorting out your life and finding a stable place to live and a job and being able to financially sustain yourself. And suddenly, for some reason, these travel plans get cancelled. I don't know, a volcano explodes in the place where you wanted to travel to, or your ticket gets cancelled, or something happens and you can't escape. So, all your escape plans could somehow be cut off. And if you still don't get it, then something very physical can happen. Like you can actually manifest a disease that makes you stay in a place and you can't move and you can't escape, and you really need to ground yourself and face reality. Like you can break your leg and not be able to walk for 2 months. You can develop another kind of disease that makes you feel really bad and you actually can't go out and have fun, but you have to deal with grounding. And there is an infinity of other explanations you can, think for yourself. So bottom line is, lectures appear on the spiritual level first, then they come to the mental emotional level, and then they go to the physical level. There is no way to escape a lesson. All you can do is like push it down to other levels of processing. So people sometimes come to me and they say, oh yeah, but I don't think astrology works on me because on this lunar eclipse nothing special happened to me. None of the things that you mentioned happened to me. And I asked them, so how did you feel throughout those days? They're like, oh yeah, I was home, I had a flu. I'm like, oh yeah, interesting. So it just means that they have been dealing with stuff that they didn't want to face consciously, so they just repressed it on a physical level and got sick instead, so the body had to deal with it. But there is actually no way of escaping the lesson itself. You can just make it unconscious. That's all you can do. So be wise, try to catch your lessons in time, and try to not bother your body too much with it. Deal with things that come and check your astrology to know what's coming. Thank you for listening and talk to you soon. Bye.